How's it going, everybody? Gunnar here, and today I want to give you guys what I think is the most important thing I can give you as a fly tyer. So check it out. So like a week or two ago, I was teaching a fly tying class, and the guy next to me, while I was demoing, was like, wait a minute, did you only use like 3 turns of thread to lash that down? I was like, yeah. And then I just started yanking on it, and it didn't go anywhere. And basically what I want to do is give you guys an updated version on kind of my thread basics video. This is just going to be all about thread control, 100% technique based. I'm going to demonstrate with streamers and streamer threads, but hopefully this is applicable to every discipline in fly tying on how to catch materials, lock them in place so they never move ever. Okay? That's all this is about. Because if you understand thread control, and then you take the time to bite off chunks of how to manipulate materials, like stacking or spinning deer hair, or working with bucktail, or tying in deceiver tails. If you go through all the material manipulation, you can tie any fly you want. If you have thread control, you understand materials, everything's accessible to you. And it seems like no matter what class I teach, no matter what material we're focused on, or platform, or fly pattern we're trying to do, it's these fundamentals that everybody still struggles with. This is the core of fly tying. So, let's dive in. For everybody who wonders and everybody that's going to ask, I only tie with 2 threads, basically nowadays. I tie with Danville's Flymaster Plus. This is 210 Flymaster Plus in white. If you want a different color, just color it. And I tie with Danville's monofilament thread. This is 6 1/1000ths of an inch. Those are basically the only 2 things I do. I do have some 200 strand GSP on the side in case I ever do any tight deer hair work, but for the most part, this is all you need. I'm coming in to demonstrate with how hard I tie. I have a pretty light wire hook, and I'm going to lash this thing down in this vise because I'm going to destroy this thing. So check it out. This is Danville's 210 Flymaster Plus. I'm going to start my thread here, and the most important thing is you should be able to tie with a lot of pressure and very light pressure while maintaining a perfect circle. Does that make sense? So if I'm going to, let's say, tie really hard, I might apply some pressure with my finger and my thumb on top of my spool, and I'm going to draw a circle with my bobbin. This is pretty typical for me. I will sit here and just reef on stuff. This is how hard I tie nearly all the time. And what's really critical is I should be able to sit here and do this indefinitely and maintain the same space. And if I want, I should be able to get tighter, and I should be able to get farther away. You should be able to just maintain this permanently for as long as you want. Now, if I wanted to tie with light pressure, I would simply pull out and I would wrap. Now, the most important thing, as you can see how light pressure that is, it's still a perfect circle. I'm never doing this oval. I'm never kind of going up and down and up and down and up and down, because anytime you drop and lift and drop and lift, you're putting all this slack in there. That perfect circle, there's never any slack. Nothing can ever back off, ever. Okay? Look at this thing. Look at this thing. So I'm going to come in now with the saltwater hooks. I've got a little bit beefier wire. I'm going to start my thread way up here. When I get to about here, I'm going to spin my thread clockwise. And it's just because anytime you're working with a material, and I'm going to tie in a stack of bucktail, just think about this. If your thread is flat, you got 100, this is 210 little cords of thread doing this. I can break one, break another, boom. You just get a ripple effect. If your thread's all flat, it's really easy to break 1 out of 210. But if I core all that up and get this really tight, dense ball of thread, I'm now asking all of that thread to break at one time. Really hard to do, right? You're going to be able to tie with more pressure. Not only that, if you have a fly tying material and you try to trap it down with a flat thread, that's a lot of surface area. So not only can you not use as much pressure, but that pressure is being distributed over a wider surface area. You don't have as much grip. When you make a tight cord, I can pull harder, and all that pressure is consolidated to one point to really dig in and grip a material to the best of its ability. Now I'm going to put down a thread base, and it's going to be an aggressive thread base so that when I tie a material onto this hook shank, I have friction on this hook shank so that that material can't slip. It can't go back or forth. And you're going to see when I yank on this bucktail as hard as I can, it's not going to slide towards my bend. it can't slide anywhere because I put down a really aggressive, high friction thread base. So I want to show you guys how to just tie in a stack of bucktail, and then I'm going to reef on it and try to pull it out. But I've been talking about tying with a lot of pressure. And what you have to understand is tying with a lot of pressure is not something that you always do. So I'm going to take a stack of bucktail here. I'm going to take a decent stack so that I have a lot of fibers, because it's going to be harder to trap down. Should make a better demo. So I have a pretty decent amount of fibers here. I took out the under hair. Going to give that a nice vertical clean cut. Now my thread right now is spun, so it's corded up. It's going to have a lot of bite to it. Now when I come up, if I come up with pressure, the bucktail is just going to get pushed by my thread. I can't actually put it where I want. And this is the trick here. You come up with a slack bobbin, and now I can control my thread as it goes around that bucktail, and I can just cinch it down. Can do another thread path and another thread path. Now right now, I can manipulate this. I can do with it whatever I want. I can make it round, I can make it high and tight, I can make it flat. I can just pinch it and push it and pinch it and push it to get the desired effect. And then I can cinch this down with a nice slow straight draw. You never want to elastically compress your thread because it'll be far more likely to break. If you just give it a nice straight slow pull, it'll all get absorbed into that elasticity. Now I have 3 turns of thread on here. I can actually take one off, cinch it down a little bit more, apply it back down, apply it back down. So that has 4 turns. That's it. I'm going to come forward here. I'm going to lock that down. So I wrapped forward and I wrapped back. Now this is something that's really important. If I take 4 turns of thread on the same spot and then I let go of my bobbin, what's to stop those from just backing off, from that bucktail to pushing back, to create a little bit of slack in there so that when I yank on this, it slips or it pulls out, right? I took 4 turns and then I went forward and then I went back. I created a little Chinese finger trap right here so that these 4 turns can't ever back off. It's extremely important. Anytime you lock a material in place, you just simply go forward and back. And now those locking wraps, those high pressure turns, all that power, it can't back off in any way, shape, or form. Now typically, I would have put 10 or 15 turns. I would have wrapped all of these butts down. But for the sake of a demo, I only have 4 turns of thread on there. Now you should be able to grab this, and I'm grabbing all of it, right? And that's a lot. I have 100% control over this bucktail. I should not be able to get that to budge. Don't my hook. Get out of there. Come on. You shouldn't be able to get it to pull out. You shouldn't be able to get this thing to slip, period, ever, no matter what you do to it. 4 turns of 210, locked in place with a spun thread, 4 back or 4 forward, 4 back, so that can't loosen up. Now, I reefed the crap out of this. Imagine you tied an entire fly like that. The only reason you should lose materials ever is because they broke, because I can take 1 strand, right? If I take 1 strand, or I guess this is like 3 or 4 or whatever, I should be able to break these, right? Because I lost, this is the same way the thread works. I'm asking all of this to slip at once instead of just 1. If I take 1, I can just break it. Materials will break, but also materials will get cut by teeth. But you should never, ever have a material pull out. Thanks for watching. I hope that helps you out. Get that nice, clean catch, precise thread path. Let it relax. Manipulate it. Move your hackles around. Do whatever you need to do. Back off. Lock it in place. Lock it, lock it, lock it. Forward and back. This thing is never going anywhere, ever. With a corded thread, a solid thread base, you should never have a fly fall apart, period. Thanks for watching.